Hi guys, welcome to Basement Supercar Build, the channel where we see if an average guy like me can design and build his own mid-engine car. This video will be a highlights video of the work that was finished this week. If you want to see the actual work take place, watch the full-length video for this week. And with that out of the way, let's get started on this week's video.
Well, you just saw me working underneath the car and jumping up and down inside the car. And what I was trying to do is this plate here that I welded on to cover up the cooling tube, or the heating tubes, cooling tubes, whichever. The tubes go to the radiator and the heater core. When I welded this on, the end of this plate here got a little lower than I had planned on. I just wasn't paying attention, and I wasn't able to get this tube in and out of the hole here to the front of the car. It was rubbing the bottom of the plate. So what I did was I raised the center up, I bent the plate, I put a piece of wood on the ground underneath the car running down the center of that plate and lowered the weight of the car on it, and then bounced up and down a little bit just to put an arch in the center of that plate to make sure that I could get that tube in and it would clear. And I was able to finally put that tube in. I have it in now. I'm going to cover this section also just like this. I've got some tubing ordered to weld in here, and then I'll put a plate on top. But before I put this plate on, I will put it in a press brake and bend it slightly so it'll have an arch or a crown in the center to have plenty of clearance for that tube. So that won't be a problem on that section. And while I'm waiting on that metal to come in, I've also got some parts that came in today. Got some more brake line parts. Another set of the flexible brake lines that run to the actual calipers. I had to order 2 sets because the ones for the rear of the car are just not long enough, so I ordered 2 complete sets so I'd have enough fronts, the longer length front ones, to put on all 4 of the calipers. And also on top of that box is this, I'm not real sure what you call this, but it's part of the heating and air system. The duct work. It has the heater core and the air conditioner condenser built into it, and I'm going to put this in the car and use that. It came out of a Corvette C7. Well, here is the assembly and the general area and direction that it mounts. It took me a while to figure out which side was up and which side was left and right, but I'm pretty sure I have this correct. And I am not quite sure how I'm going to mount this. I guess I've got to wait till my hoses come in. One thing I've got to see for sure is the air conditioner and attachments that attach to these fittings here. Will they clear this tube, or will I have to notch this tube for clearance? I don't believe I can get this to come much further forward because it is almost touching here on this corner. This looks like a fresh air intake, and I'm not sure that I have it quite high enough. I may need to raise up higher for clearance over the top of this tube. If that's the case, I'm touching the bottom of this tube here. I may have to notch or cut and put something, weld something thinner or a different size across the top of this. You can also see these 2 mounting tabs. One is touching the metal and one is about 1.5 inches forward of that. So that entire assembly, I just don't think it can go forward any, so I'm thinking that may be the right place front to back. But until I get the hoses for the heater core and air conditioner attached, I won't know for sure. It looks about correct left and right. I just need to verify up and down and front to back. It's close, it's in the general area. I don't think it's going to move more than about 1 inch in either direction. But hoses are ordered. Once they come in, I will attach them and verify the location as best I can. There's a lot of plumbing to get the heat and air from the top of this box up to the dash and all of the vents. We'll have to buy some of that and fabricate some of that. Another thing I'm concerned about is, looks like there's plenty of feet room, but the console comes up and goes up in front of this. I've got to make sure there's enough depth for the radio and electronics to clear in front of that. That's another reason it may have to go further forward. Without everything here, it's kind of hard to verify any of that, so I'm just waiting. I'm going to check the clearance underneath, make sure I have plenty of feet room, but I believe that that looks like it's plenty. But wow, this is a little bit larger than I thought it would be, but we can make it fit one way or another. Just got to figure out the exact location first and then just start working on making it fit. Well, I received some tubing in today, and still have some questions about where to locate this heating and air conditioning box, whatever it's called. And while I'm waiting to receive some more parts in for this to help me figure out exactly where to locate it, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this tubing to fit and weld it into place in the cover. And this tubing will be the ones that goes here in this area between the seats, so I can cap off the area where the tubes run through to keep the heat out of the car, like I did here in the front section. I know it probably seems like I bounce around doing different things all the time, but I have to move around depending on what parts come in and what day of the week it is. Tomorrow is Friday, so I'd like to get this cover plate cut to size and take to work tomorrow and press brake it to put a little crown or a high spot in the center to clear that large tube, so I can weld all this in this weekend. So that's kind of my plan anyway. So let's go ahead and start. I've got to take the car apart, at least to a point, get the seat and this heating and air conditioning assembly out, and lift the car up so I can get underneath and drill out these rivet nuts here and weld these tubes in right on top of those rivet nuts, and then I'll drill back through the hole in the skin and the tubing, and that rivet nut will actually secure back in. The new ones will into the tube also. But let's get started taking the car apart and getting these tubes welded in tonight. Well, I finished welding the cap on the center of the car here, so now the floor of the car is jogged, and the cooling tubes will be underneath this floor and pretty much outside of the car. Hoping that'll help some with the heating issue. And I've been modifying this bar across here. The stock Corvette C7 has a bar that is shaped something like this. It is one continuous aluminum tube that is bent and jogged up about 2 inches like this. This allows the heating and air box that we were trying to hang here to raise to the correct height. It was a little too low and it was in the way of my feet. So after finding the pictures online and seeing how they had jogged this bar, I decided to jog mine, and this was the easiest way for me to do that. I obviously can't form a bar like this, but I've just cut and welded a piece in. This will give me a 2-inch jog, and then this heat and air control box will fit up in this notch to the correct height and correct location left and right, in front to back. It'll put the front of the box almost touching where the firewall of the car up here, the front section is, and just leave just enough room for the carbon fiber interior tub. And I think everything looks like that will work out good. So this bar is ready to weld in, and I guess that is what we will do next. So finishing up for today, but tomorrow morning I will start welding on this and getting this heat and air box hopefully hung this weekend.